talking about how you're using technology internally and how you've experienced using technology internally. So what's wrong with Excel? Why do anything at all?
It's a very, very good question, Rob. So, many tax functions work almost entirely on Excel. There are Excel spreadsheets for everything. There are Excel spreadsheets for tracking deadlines, Excel spreadsheets for tax calculations, Excel spreadsheets for literally everything. These can be useful. Excel certainly has its place. It can be very good for calculations. But Excel is very much how people put them together as kind of an art rather than a science. And often I find that tax functions are using Excels that were prepared not by the current tax manager, not by the previous tax manager, but by the tax manager before that. And sometimes some sense gets lost along the way between version 1 and version 365. So it's really important to kind of make sure that those Excels are doing what they're supposed to do. And quite often, it's the understanding of why they were built that way in the first place has got lost. So it's always worth kind of doing a sense check and just making sure you're using the right tool for the right task, really. Excel has its place, but there are good, better tools for many, many tasks now. There are better action trackers, such as RSM Tax Insight, which can, keep much better track of dates. It can put things in your Outlook calendar. It's much more live than an Excel document that you have to remember to go in and update, especially if you've got multiple people using it. It will drop a reminder straight into your email inbox. It will email the person who reviews it when it's ready. It's just much better for that kind of thing.
Yeah, I strongly agree. I think Excel definitely has its place. It definitely has a lot of strengths. Its flexibility is brilliant. Its ability to deal with things quickly is also brilliant. But you do lose a few areas, such as that knowledge of how was it built. Is it even doing the job we designed for it? Well, I hope so, because there's no errors, so I'm sure it's fine. So there are elements where it is probably the time to have another look at it and see, are we using it to its best advantage? Is it safe? Is it easy to use? Often not. And are there better tools out there, perhaps already within the business, that could do this faster and better for very little investment?
Yeah, and Excel is also limited by the capability of its users. I mean, we all know, well, I know that Excel has macros. That's about all I know. At my last business, I think there was one person who knew how to use them, and then he left. And therefore all his spreadsheets spontaneously broke and nobody knew what to do with them. So I think it's also limited by making sure that the tax technology that we're using is appropriate for the users as much as for the business.
Yeah. And one of the things we do within RSM Tax Technology is we help clients to understand their Excel. We can review the file, we can look for common errors, we can look for common risk points. And then we often undertake an exercise which we call making Excel better, where we'll take a workbook that's working or is working but is really painful to use, and we'll look for ways to even put elements of automation in there using the higher features that are in Excel but you probably don't know exist, or at least to put more audit trail, a lot more understanding into it without reinventing the wheel and without changing the overall process as how that area of tax is managed. And I think that's a really important concept when it comes to how we operate and how we, our ethos of tax technology for the real world is say, let's not change the entire system. If Excel is the right tool for the job, let's use Excel, but let's make sure it's not bringing all the worst parts of Excel into the mix. Let's make sure it's safe, let's make sure it's repeatable, and let's make sure it's easy to use. And we can do that without a significant investment cost, and so much the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Rob.